When you are watching someone talk about video games on the internet, you expect them to have played the game. After all, how much could they really talk about the game if they've never played it? At one point or another, they are going to have to make assumptions on how buttons are mapped or how the physics in the game work if they haven't played it. So how can they give a fair opinion? That's a trick question. They can't. So, as I go through my personal list of my favorite video games that I've never played, make sure to take anything you hear from me about these games with a grain of salt. Quick note, for some of these games, I mention them because I haven't played the entire series, although I've played at least one of the games. However, that does not go for all of them. An example for this is Pikmin 1 and 2, which were in my sights for a long time, but because they weren't on the Switch, I just never got them for a long time, despite how much I wanted to play them. But after ages of waiting, they finally did come to the Switch, so I got to enjoy them in full, although I haven't touched Pikmin 2 other than for the multiplayer versus mode ever since I completed the game for the channel. Speaking of series I haven't completed, there's Banjo-Kazooie. I played the original for this channel, but I haven't gotten around to Tooie other than playing multiplayer modes off screen, and nuts and bolts is nuts and bolts. It's fine for what it was trying to accomplish, but it's not really a Banjo game. And while I haven't played any Banjo game except the original, I've seen 100% playthroughs of all of the games, including the GBA one. But not that GBA one. I don't care about Banjo Pilot. Five Nights at Freddy's is kind of weird for this topic, because I've played the original 3, Pizzeria Simulator, Ultimate Custom Night, and watched the movie, but none of the other games and none of the books. I feel like most people either play every game or just watch them instead, but I've done both for the various games. While we are talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, let's talk about fan games. There's no way I could mention them all, but some of my favorites that I haven't played include Glitched Attraction, The Joy of Creation, and somewhat Five Nights at Candy's, which I have played most of, but I just can't beat the final night in Five Nights at Candy's 3. Next is Ace Attorney. I've played the original trilogy who knows how many times, but I haven't played any of the other games, although I have watched them and know the story. And if I'm being honest, I'm kind of glad that I don't have the other games. Apollo Justice is the only one that does Phoenix's and the Faye's story some justice after the original trilogy. And the investigation games are kind of mixed, because I've heard some people say that they are masterpieces with a great overarching story, and others say that, especially for the second game, sometimes things just take too long for no good reason, and even in the late game you have to put together obvious clues, so I really have no idea what to even think about the investigations games. And the rest is just a bad story with some good characters. And then there's also the Professor Layton X Ace Attorney game, which I haven't seen at all, and also the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles duology, which has nothing to do with the rest of the Ace Attorney story, and seems pretty good because it isn't messing with the story or characters from the original trilogy at all. The final entry of games that I've played some of the series of is Luigi's Mansion, the original one. I've played Dark Matter 3, and have seen boatloads of videos about the original and the 3DS remake, but I've never played it. It's probably the game I know the most about that I have never played. Now let's get into the really juicy stuff. The games I have truly not played even once or any other in its series, if it's even a series. First is Donkey Kong Bonanza. At the time I'm writing the script, the game isn't even out yet, but I already know I'm not going to play it because I already made an entire video on why I'm not getting the Switch 2. And it's nothing against the game, really, except for Donkey Kong's new design. This thing is so ugly. What were they thinking? And don't give me that, oh, they need him to be more expressive bullcrap. You cannot tell me that the original DK design was not expressive. That is just straight up lying. Play the Donkey Kong DLC and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and then get back to me. And then there's also the fan designs of the old DK design that can literally do these new expressions easily. This is just so pointless. Anyway, this isn't supposed to be a video about the new DK design. So let's just move on to the next game, which happens to be the only other 3D Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong 64. If you're familiar with Nintendo at all, I'm sure this game needs no introduction. It's buggy as heck, has the Guinness World Record for the most collectibles in a video game at 3,821 collectibles, and is the last Donkey Kong game Rare made. I've never played it because A, holy cow, that is a lot of collectibles, and B, it hasn't been released on the Nintendo 64 Online at the time of recording this, so I don't have a way to play it anyway. And again, even if it did come onto the N64 Online, I don't think I'd play it because that's a lot of collectibles. For the last 4 on this list, I decided to go with some well-known indie/third-party games because they deserve some spotlight too. The first 2 are Undertale and Deltarune. I don't know much about either of these games, except they are both RPGs made by Toby Fox, and the first one has the funny blue-eyed skeleton. I'm only really mentioning them because it would be a disservice if I didn't, especially with how much they come up in general video games discussions. I've never really played them because I've lost interest in RPGs, which is a whole other topic for some other time. Next is Here Comes Nico. In case you somehow don't know, I've played A Hat in Time. A lot. So this being the only other 3D platformer produced by Gears for Breakfast obviously has always intrigued me. And the concept of a laid-back collectathon is also very interesting, and I've always wanted to try it out. I even have it in my Steam library. I just haven't gotten to playing it with how busy I am with life in general and with making these videos. And the final game in this list is Celeste. I've heard a lot about this game. I've watched lots of videos on this game. I know the general story and mechanics of the game. I've looked into the weird quote-unquote sequel game and Celeste 64. I've heard the joke, Celeste makes you trans, a billion times. And I even have this game in my Steam library as well. But I've just never gotten around to actually playing it. I've just not had the time yet. Maybe this isn't even true anymore by the time this video is uploaded. All I know for a fact is that it's a heck of a game. And also the people speedrunning a lot, which is why I'm speedrunning this outro. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, bye.